Hey, before I start with today's topic of discussion, there's a quick update that I have to make. In the previous video where I gave a spoiler-free review of Babylon and Hoshiai no Sora, I mentioned that there needed to be a second season of sorts with the latter for reasons that I discussed in the previous video. Links in the description. Well, as for recording this video, there has been an update from the makers of Hoshiai no Sora stating that there will be a movie for the fans. So that's some positive news for those of us who wanted some closure. Well then, let's jump into this video. I hope you enjoy it. During this global pandemic, there are those of us who want to badly view our favorite anime and hope that the makers of said anime are fine and are ready to work when our favorite anime isn't busy getting delayed again and again. Some that are scheduled to release in a few months have already been postponed completely. Therefore, we have to make do with the ones that we already have. And to be honest, this season isn't the worst one, pandemic aside of course. Firstly, let's talk about Tower of God. Now, I have my fair bit of criticism of the source of this particular anime and I'm not going to hype it to the fucking sky like some anime-tubers are doing. The source material lacks a well-defined system of magic. There is no anguish when it comes to the creation of killer moves on the part of a protagonist Balm, who is honestly the simplest simp that ever existed. And when our main character does use a special signature move, it's basically forgotten a few fights later. While the anime has yet to tackle these issues, I'm not optimistic about it, but there are some positive aspects about the anime itself. For starters, the movie is composed by the same guy who gave us the god tier OSTs in Made in Abyss. And he's working on this project, and as of now, the music is pretty decent. The voice acting is also pretty good, and who can forget about the best girl? Oh, not that whore. The best girl Rak. I'd say that the most important part of this adaptation is the fact that this is a webtoon that has got a fuck ton of attention, and if adapted properly, it can pave the path for other awesome webtoons like Bastard, Dead Days, and Sweet Homes. All in all, I hope that things don't go awry in this adaptation despite my aforementioned gripes with the plot. Now let's talk about an anime which is plot-wise the equivalent of Seinfeld, Nami Kiitekure. This anime doesn't have the most gripping premise. If I were to be blunt, which I always am, a woman who's a stereotypical millennial, financially irresponsible, works for a minimum wage at a restaurant and doesn't even do that earnestly. But one day during one of her binge drinking sessions, she encounters the head of a local radio channel who records her off the cuff. Her rant seems to be man-hating because she just broke up, but with one distinct factor. He doesn't seem to stutter or stop even once, unlike me of course. She keeps on speaking without making any errors. When she gets to her work the next day, she hears her rant on the radio and she rushes to the station, and in similar fashion retracts her statements and apologizes. In a way, and she rants more. Now at this point you might be wondering, this anime doesn't seem very interesting. Why is this wannabe YouTuber talking about it? To that I shall reply by saying firstly, rude. Secondly, this anime has one of the most killer voice actors out there. This anime is so bland, but the goddess of a voice actress takes the show to a whole other level. Her lively way of talking in a continuous fashion is entertaining to say the least. Considering the fact that this show is basically the equivalent of a shitpost, her voice acting skills along with the witty dialogue of the show will not bore you. The supporting cast is also helpful in keeping the show entertaining. This is a must-watch anime of the season, at least for the spectacle that is. Last but not the least, I'm going to talk about an anime which wasn't released during this season but it is still ongoing. The anime I speak of is Ahiru no Sora. This is a sports anime which was made by the same studio that gave us the anime of the century, Domestic Girlfriend. Kidding aside, this anime doesn't have the flashiest of animations that one would expect from a usual basketball anime like Kuroko no Basket. However, the part which got me hooked of this anime was the humor. Now while humor is subjective, the dialogue of the first 10 to 15 episodes or so got some genuine laughs out of me. After that, it entered the usual tournament arc, by which point it got kinda predictable. While it retained the funny dialogues to a certain extent, the end of the anime is still predictable. Unlike the previous two anime that are a must-watch, should you watch this one? Maybe. It depends on you. While there are certainly other shows out there that may be more hilarious and well written, if you're looking for a sports comedy with not the worst writing in the world, I'd say you won't go wrong with this one. The 30 plus episodes that have been released out of the total 50 have been decided are as I have described. Phew, that was a wordy video. If you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button. If you want more content like this, including an Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 parody, I've got you covered. Until next time, I'm almost agreed.